That's another part of what I maybe want to chat about today, and that is put the blinkers on, just forget about what you have or have not done, what you've achieved or not achieved, and really just focusing on you. Look yourself in the mirror and really take stock of what you're going to do and how you feel. How old are you going to be before you start to experience life like you want it? I want to tell you right now, whether you like it or not, there is a better way to do business. Hi everyone, welcome to the Business for Builders podcast. Welcome to you if you're in YouTube land. My name's Max. I'm the CEO of Smith & Sons. Hey, look, I want to just up front, if you like what you hear, I would love it if you were to share, like and subscribe, all that kind of wonderful stuff. We would really appreciate that. And certainly if you've got any comments or you've got any questions as it relates to developing high-performance general contracting companies, that's what we're all about. So, anyway, it is the beginning of another week, and, by the time this goes to air, it'll be close to the end of the week, depending on which part of the universe you're in. And today, I want to quickly chat. It was something I had thought about over the weekend. This is going to be a pretty busy one. I got no notes, so this is just completely shooting from the hip. But really what I want to start with, I think, just to give some context is be open to and understand the power of change. And, I think that kind of thought process always sort of infiltrates my thinking because I am developing several businesses. Obviously, I'm in charge of developing, this company called Smith & Sons. But within that, I've got franchise general contractors that are, wanting to develop their sizable general contracting high-performance business as well. Then what creates another level of challenge is the fact that they all are very individual. And so it's almost like this multiplication of complication, which I have to constantly be mindful of, because what works for one of these operators may not necessarily work for the other, or it will work, it's just going to take longer. So, you can really, really tie yourself up in knots if you're not careful. So for me, running point, or really quarterbacking the business development of this brand, and then of course that really happens or develops off the back of helping our general contractors develop, there's a lot of weight on my shoulders, sort of mentally and emotional, to be able to go, okay, what does the business need from me? What does the business development side need? What do we need to introduce? So, that being said, that's really the way that I audit my own process. And I just began to think that for me to really make that happen fairly on a consistent basis, I just began to think about what are the key components. And, I certainly don't think that there's any one thing that's going to make it for you. I mean, I was mid-40s before I got this gig with Smithies as a CEO. Really, I just worked in construction all that time. Could be deemed as a bit of a late starter, but nonetheless, it is where I am. And really, that's another part of what I maybe want to chat about today, and that is put the blinkers on, just forget about what you have or have not done, what you've achieved or not achieved, what your next door neighbor's doing or not, and really just focusing on you. Look yourself in the mirror and really take stock of what you're going to do and how you feel. Geez Louise, I could sort of head off in any direction right about now. But, ultimately, for me to be able to, what I need to do is I need to be open to change, and I need to understand the power of change, because I guess the ideas that I have now for business development, whether it's corporately or individually in the business world, really starts with me understanding, that I am not the person that I need to be in 5 years to run this company. So the ideas that I have, not only do I need to grow the business, and really this is where this podcast is going, I feel, but it's the personal development that I've got to embrace. And really, that means, for me to be able to be an effective leader, I need to be open to change, and I need to understand the power of change. But also, there is a challenge to do with it. I mean, everyone likes to be comfortable. Last time I checked, we go home and sit on the couch and watch Netflix. We don't go home and stand in our living room and watch Netflix. Not normal people anyway, I don't think. But ultimately, that's what we're talking about. We all want to be more comfortable. But I think, I've said this before, that success lies outside of our comfort zone. And if we are wanting to negotiate success, I think we will find that we will lose 9.5 times out of 10, because I just don't believe that it's possible. The problem is if we want to do it from our comfort zone and we want to do it on our terms, the problem is the success that we want, we have not been equipped personally to really bring about or be an agent of change. We can't lead that business. Speed of the leader determines the speed of the pack. And if you are dragging your feet, how is it that you're going to be, even if you've got several staff or whatever, if you're dragging your feet because you're like, well, I'm comfortable and I only want to show up at the office twice a week and I'm not very motivated and I'm not very happy, then really the business that you're building is not going to be one that is sustainable, is going to be long-term. And so, I think for me, despite how I feel on a Monday or Tuesday morning, it's really irrelevant. It's almost like I just need to do what I know, because I think we're always going to have in the business development world, and I'm talking to general contractors, but this could work for any business owner. I'm not sure where you are or where you're at and what you're doing, but this really is just, we're talking about the person that has the idea to build the business. And so understanding that change is just a natural part of business development, and you will tend to embrace the change because you'll understand the power that it has and the influence that it has as you develop. And I think, the secret, I guess, might be to, that you walk a mile and then you see a mile. It's really hard for me. We're sitting here in 2022, late February 2022. And, when we had the initial discussion about this business and this brand in Canada, I really couldn't. I was excited about the opportunity. I was excited about the potential of the business. But I really couldn't forecast because I'm not the same person today that I was in 2016 or 2015 when we started talking about this. And I think that is the part of the business which is boring, which is slow, which means I've got to be patient, which I'm not. And so, I think there's a lot of things in the people that are successful in business, and the one that comes to mind is Jeff Bezos, and love him or hate his business. He's done a remarkable job of building that empire. And I think, for us as contractors or general contractors or just business owners, a lot of the, focus for us needs to be internal. I often say that success really is your biggest challenge is going to be what's in that area in the 6 inches between your ears. You really do need to improve your self-talk. And so, this is where, over the last 2 weeks, I was a little bit ill, and the demand on me, because now we're rolling with 5 staff in the office. Everyone wants to sort of make sure they're on the right track, and so they want a piece of me. It really did start to identify. I started to identify weaknesses, not so much in my outward, but my internal. It's like I actually need to grow up, and that's not a derogatory sort of slur. It's just like, if you are going to take this business in the next 12 months to where you want to take it, and, we've already calculated that we want to double our revenue from last year, which I guess may or may not be a big deal to you, but for us, that's probably a really healthy, challenging goal. But for me to be actually survive this next 12 months, I needed to be able to, grow in myself. And so not only is it in between those 6 inches between your ears, but there's business development really starts with me, and there's an inside out approach that I want to take. So what I've begun to do is I've begun to study more as it relates to business development, personal development, and I've definitely started to read more intensely. And if you're not a reader, then that's fine. Get an audio book. I love to, read books with a red pen and just underline and do all that sort of stuff. And then I can revisit some of the moments that spoke the most. It means I'm a slow reader, but it's certainly something that, this is just for me. I'm not saying this is what you got to do. I'm just sharing my story basically. But I knew that success in this business now, I'm going to get exposed if I don't continue to grow. That's what it comes down to. And so, it really does play off the back of what I do in the retail sector, but also what I do in the recruitment sector. So our business is almost binary. It's got, we work on behalf of our GCs to generate inquiries, project inquiries. And then on the other side, we're looking to recruit general contractors or join forces with general contractors and help them develop businesses. So, if I wasn't careful, that and in those two sectors, retail and recruitment, I pride myself in being able to separate the players from the pretenders. There's the qualifying is at the top of my list. If you're a retail customer, we ain't going to get out the second conversation without me talking about what you have as a realistic understanding of budget. And of course, in the recruitment sector, when I'm talking to general contractors, in the last 48 hours, I've rejected 2 applications. They just don't fit. So for me, it's all about exposing the pretender, whether it's in recruitment and general contractors or whether it's in retail. But what I've done over the last week or two, and especially on the weekend, we just had a long weekend. It was a family day yesterday, family day stat holiday, is that, I just did I looked internally, and it's like, I look in the mirror and say, are you being a player or are you being a pretender? And really that to me is, it's the easiest way to lead, because why not try and put yourself out of business than wait for someone else to put you out of business? In other words, that's going into offense. It's not playing defense. So for me, I don't wait for someone else to identify me as a pretender. I'll identify me in the stage that I'm in right now as a pretender, and I'll go, right, now that I've nailed that, where do I need to improve? Where do I need to, get help? Whereabouts do I need to educate myself better? Because, it's such a massive responsibility. And, just about to put in our 10th franchise. Our 9th franchise is coming in for training next week. And it really does impress upon me the ongoing responsibility that I have as a leader and as a business developer. That really does, it part of it stresses me out, because I'm like, I feel inadequate. I don't feel like I'm the guy. But on the other part of it, I wouldn't do anything else. Hats off to the guys that are still carrying trusses and knocking frames up and shit. I'm 48 going on 49, and I don't know. If I had to do it, I guess I would do it, but I'm sort of glad that I don't have to. But I just, in this area, I do feel like I'm a little bit light on. It's not like I've been in the building industry for, 34 years this year, where I'm confident, this is definitely a different bowl of goldfish. And so this is where, for me, it's every day I'm changing. Every day I've got to look at my weaknesses and vulnerabilities, maintain the areas that I have as strengths. There's definitely strengths that I have, the natural abilities that really help me do my job, in a pretty powerful way. But for you, if you're a general contractor and you're saying I'm struggling, and this is where it comes down to, I tell my story because what you've got to do is look yourself in the mirror and go, am I a player or am I a pretender? And, I think that's, if you can knock the lid off that and start asking yourself some tough questions. And the thing is, what helps me to determine that is I'll just be driving around and I'll be dissatisfied and unhappy with and frustrated by and angry at me as a person, because I know I'm not getting traction. So we talk about this really macro. It's like, well, you're going to go into 2022 doing the same shit you did last year because you're probably going to get the same result. That, in principle, is what I'm talking about. So really what that comes down to, it's like, forget about the external. I say a lot of people spend money that they don't have on shit they don't need to impress people who don't give a rat's ass. Like, just think about that for a sec. That's an external process where you're going, I'm trying to reach a level where people accept me or respect me, when really people see through that kind of peripheral exterior shit and go, that guy is actually a dork. Like, he's just he's a dopey person. I don't even want to be close to him. I don't like him. And we do that because we're compensating for the feeling inside that we have that we're not really achieving at a level that we want to, when really this is why we say it's inside out. And I want you to think about flipping the whole narrative today. And that is that I've got to change the way I can't necessarily change what happens to me. What I can change is how I respond to that. And I think really that's what it comes down to. It's not the problems that you're facing, it's the way you're looking at the problems and the challenges that you face. And so, I really just, I'd impress upon you the importance that nobody gives a shit about, what you wear, what you drive, where you live. They actually just give a shit more about, I really would like to be friends with a really good human. And that really then flows out to your business world. It's like, he pays me well, but he's a dickhead. You don't want your employees looking at you like that. And I think, when you're posturing and when you're pretending and when you're trying to be someone that you're not, people see through that. Like their bullshit fact or their bullshit meter is right up there, and it's right there, and it's pretty damn accurate. And so, and don't even get me started on parenting. That side of it too, where you think because you're the parent and you can carry weight and you can push them around, that actually pays dividends long term. I want to tell you, as a father of 6, having been married to the same gal for 27 years, that shit doesn't work. It's just the manipulative side, the bully side. And I've tried it because I'm very bullish, but it just doesn't build relationships long term. And so, everything that we're talking about, really, it benefits if you look in the mirror and get your shit together. If you look in the mirror and you're honest with yourself and you go, yes, I actually don't know anything about leadership, or I don't know anything about business management, or I don't know anything about, how to run a crew effectively, or I don't know anything about relationship management with my clients. Like you've just got it. Like I can sit here all day long and do operations and talk about, mindset and marketing and all that sort of stuff, but it's not going to make you happy because it's still external. What I need you to do today is to really tackle the internal. You got to face your demons and go, right, you just got to figure out where you're up to. There was a long weekend and I was in here Saturday talking to my franchisees. I was in here Sunday because it's really peaceful, and I was in here for a long weekend. Like, it's just, there's some other things that I'm planning right now because I want to reward me for my hard work, doing things that I enjoy. But I'm not doing that shit because I'm trying to impress anybody. I'm doing it because I actually do love to do it. And you'll see more of that coming through, in the next 6 months. But, my challenge is definitely, understand how the importance of change and the positive impact it will have on you and your business in the long term. Please, this is not a sprint. This is not a 5-minute race. This is something that, I'm committed to until I die, unless something dramatically changes. But really, I've just found, and this is the stupid part, right? I was about to say, this is the place I found myself in. I don't know. I call it the universal law of vacuum. It's funny how shit works out. And and this is the problem too. If you sit there and you're like, well, I get hard done by, nothing ever works out for me. Like, I don't know what when you look at me, I'm literally, in 1989, I started as a carpenter. Fast forward through all of this, finished an apprenticeship, operated crews, got a builder's license, got married, had 6 kids. 2022, I'm in Canada. It's just like I'm a product of the decisions that I made. And the difference, I think, is the 1 degree between hot water and steam. One will give you a cup of coffee, the other one will run a locomotive. And I think I choose to have an offensive activity. I don't sit here and wait for it to come to me. I don't try and protect what I've got. I'm like, right, 1 foot in front of the other, walk a mile, see a mile. But ultimately, whatever happens to me, good and bad, there's a lesson in there that I can pull from and actually step over or step through. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. And I think that's where, if you have the victim mindset and you're below the line thinking, going, woe is me, that it's no wonder you're going to be 70. And remember, old people, when you see an old guy walking down the road, he once was a teenager. But life slowly but surely consistently passed him by. Now, if you went and talked to him, would he have any regrets? 9 times out of 10, they probably would. So forget about whether you're like my age at 48 going on 49, or whether you're 29 or whether you're 69. Guess what? You can't change what's happened to you, but you certainly can modify what's about to happen and how you react to certain situations. So hope that helps. That was just a heartfelt moment that I just wanted to share because it really impacted me personally. And I thought, you know what, there's someone out there. You're driving to the hardware store, you're driving away from a client meeting, you're driving to a client meeting. And I just would encourage you to be, no matter what happens to you, you cannot ultimately determine what happens to you, but how you respond to that and what you take out of that. That is going to be your superpower, because that is succeeding as an inside job. Success is an inside job. Everything you need to turn, it's an inside out approach. And that's really what I want to leave you with today is that, you know what, no matter where you're up to, and I'm telling you, change means that if you've been running a building company for 10 years and you're not happy and you're ready to go and get a job at Home Depot, guess what, brother? Guess what, sister? It's time to change. Now, that might mean changing industries. For sure, but it might be just a matter of changing the way that you do business and how you go about business. Don't get me started on how Smith & Sons does it. We've talked about that. We might talk about it again. But, you know, at the end of the day, you've got to look at what you're doing and go, am I going to continue to do the same thing and expect a different result? If you are, you're out of your freaking mind. You're broken. It's not going to work for you. You need to change. Change. Understand that change is a part of life. It's a part of success. Failure is a part of success because you can pull stuff out and learn from that and get better. But then understanding, you know, that it is actually an imperative part. It's imperative to your success. So thanks for having a listen. Thanks for tuning in. Hit me up with some questions. Feel free to text me at 250-241-8866. I look forward to seeing your comments and your emails. You can hit me up at max@businessforbuilders.ca. Would really love to hear your stories. Would love to hear your questions and help out any way I can. If you're on top of things and getting it done, go build a kick-ass business. I'll see you on the next episode. Cheers.